Well, hello again and welcome to St James's Park. At least here we are on the steps outside the Gallagher end. Yeah, I can't bring you reflections from inside the ground tonight because the ladies team are still playing inside. And here we are on the back of a 2-0 victory over Fiorentina for Newcastle United. And we're going to have a little bit of a wander. Hopefully I'm going to end up at the Trent pub. Yeah, never mind the Stella Cup. Here we are, the Stella Cup. That's the plan anyway. But yeah, I thought it was a good win. I thought there were some impressive performances. Not everyone agrees, and we'll come on to that in just a minute. But the first thing I want to say is I was out in America recently for the Premier League Summer Series, and I've got to say, you've got to trust me on this. I thought that was a big step down in terms of the level of opposition. Now, Eddie Howe's just said he thought it was a step up, and I think he meant in terms of their own performance, and I get why he means that, because I thought one or two who perhaps didn't look sharp out in the US did look better there, and I thought collectively as a unit they were improved. I get why he said that, but in terms of how much we can read into it and how much we can take from it because of the opposition, I don't think it's as informative as the States was, because I thought we learned a lot in America, even though they were, quote, friendly matches. Now, I say that because I just didn't think Fiorentina had the same intensity as those Premier League opponents out there in America. Nonetheless, there were some good performances, and I say it's split opinion because after the game, I put a tweet out on Full Time saying that I thought, quote, the front three picked itself: Almiron, Gordon, and Alexander Isak. And enough people sort of blew back on that and didn't necessarily agree, primarily based on Anthony Gordon's performance today. Now I disagree with that, and I'll say two things here. One, it is not necessarily 100% my own opinion that should be the front three. I just think, given that Eddie Howe in the previous summer, what he's done is he's tended to play units together. When he's split these friendlies up, he's played a defence together, a midfield three together, or a front three together, while he spread it over 2 11s. And I think the fact that against Chelsea in the States, when we were in Atlanta, which was the marquee game of the three, he played Almiron, Isak and Gordon together in that game, and then he started them there again today. That for me tells me that as of now, he's going to go with those three against Aston Villa back here next Saturday, and I would think that's a fair enough call based on what I've seen over the summer. I said it out in the States, didn't I, many times. Anthony Gordon looked fitter and sharper than everybody else, and I just think when you've got that momentum coming off the back of the Euros, I think it would be a shame. I think it would be silly not to allow him to try and take that into the season. Now, in terms of his performance here today, okay, I get why some people weren't as impressed. I personally, I thought he was penetrative. I thought he had a couple of very good runs where he got himself in good positions. I think that same energy and fitness was there, but yeah, the end product wasn't. It wasn't. He missed a couple of good chances when he did get into those good positions, and he's got to be. If you're a £40 million winger and you've been brought in to make a difference from those areas, as we've seen, the very best teams do have goal-scoring wingers. They have wingers who create goals as well. They really do make the difference. Gordon's probably got to improve in that regard, but nonetheless, I still think he's done enough to retain the jersey for next weekend. Now, others come back at me and said there's a lot of games, the team will change, and of course it will. There's going to be a lot of matches this season, what with the Champions League and their intention to do well in the Cups. Let's not get too hung up on the starting 11 next week, because it will change. It'll change a week later, it'll then change 3 or 4 days later when they're in Europe. We know that, but this is the only starting 11 that has a 2-3 month run up and is laced with so much intrigue. So please, let's not spoil our fun. Let's at least enjoy the debate while we can, leading into Villa. I do think the first 11 of the opening weekend of the season is one where you probably can dedicate too much time talking to it, if you like. Now, going along that front three, like I said, for me, I think Gordon's done enough to stay in there. Harvey Barnes, he could play tomorrow, do very well, and that might give Eddie something to think about. But certainly coming out of the States, I thought Gordon was ahead of Barnes, especially given he's had that extra time to, we use that phrase, don't we, to swallow the playbook. And we spoke to Anthony out in where were we, Philadelphia, when we had a good chat with him, and I got a really nice feel from him. He's had little bits of negative press in terms of the perception of his attitude. Like I've said, I don't think the incident down at Southampton did him any favours. But yeah, when we spoke to him, that was someone who really had the bit between their teeth and was determined to come back and prove a few people wrong, based on what he even admitted himself was a pretty underwhelming second half of last season after joining from Everton, going along the front three. Now, why will Isak start ahead of Wilson? I just think he will. I just think he's a better bet. He's probably, and this is harsh because Callum Wilson's fantastic. Alexander Isak is probably a better player than Callum Wilson. I think he's. I think over the second half of last season, when he really did find his rhythm, he showed that he is in a truly elite, potentially elite level player. Someone who does deserve to be talked about up there. Potentially some of the best strikers in Europe. So for me, that is the reason Isak will start, and also Wilson as well has proven himself quite fantastic super sub. Now, he won't like me say that, and he'll be wanting to be in from the off, but certainly when he did come on, he was a tremendous option for Eddie from the bench. So I think you'll go with Isak ahead of Wilson, and then on the right, Miguel Almiron's he's had a good pre-season. He has. Now, he scored again there today, and it was interesting, wasn't it? Now, look at his finish. It's instinctive. Isak does well, little dribble, plays him in. They linked up nicely there. He takes one touch and finishes it bottom corner, back to the Almiron of pre-World Cup. I use that word, instinctive finishing. In the second half, what happens? He wins the ball 40 yards out, goes through on goal, all the time in the world to think about it, and he hits the goalkeeper. So there you go. That is an area anyhow's got to work on making sure that Almiron is in positions where he doesn't have a lot of time to think about things, and it is that instinctive, that one or two touch finish. I would love to see the data for how many goals he's scored where it hasn't been either with a first touch or a second touch. I dare say it probably wouldn't be very high. So yeah, I think that will be the front three going into Villa. Going back into midfield, well, if we stick into my theory of Eddie playing different units, that three today of Anderson, Miley and Tonali probably wouldn't be the starting three. And you're looking at Joe Linton, Bruno and Sean Longstaff would probably be the three tomorrow against Villarreal, being the three he's going to play against Villa. I tweeted after the game, I thought if Elliot Anderson doesn't find himself in the starting 11 next weekend, I think he'll be massively unlucky. For me, he was the best performer in America, as much as I admired Miley. I thought, overall, I thought Anderson was the best player to come out of the States tour. And again there today, I thought he was brilliant. I really did. I thought he actually got stronger as the game went on. Now, what is coming back at me in the responses is, well, where does he play? Okay, I get that. It seems now as if he's only being considered in the one of the three midfield positions. So if you've got Joe Linton and Bruno in there, and I think most people are assuming Tonali is perhaps going to start. Where does Anderson play? Now, for me, I would go Joe Linton on the left, Bruno in the middle, and Anderson on the right. That three. If you notice today, Anderson did play in both positions in that midfield on the left, and on the right, didn't he? So I just think he's in such good form, and it goes back to the theory I've got with Anthony Gordon that why would you waste that momentum and that superior fitness that he has over the others and not giving him a chance to take that into the new season? So for me, Anderson would play. But when I asked Eddie afterwards, and I've got to make the apology of almost sounding like a broken record when I talk about Elliot Anderson with Eddie this summer, the indication was that he might not, just reading almost between the lines. Then again, Eddie doesn't give nothing away. If anything, he's becoming very skilled at dropping red herrings into some of his answers and press conferences. And we can't not mention the other midfielder, Sandro Tonali, who I thought was better today. I wasn't critical of him in the States. I just thought it was important to temper all of the enthusiasm and excitement there was on the back of the Rangers performance, when he was very good. But when it came to playing against Villa in the States, and he was up against Buendia, Douglas Luiz and John McGinn, I think we saw that it could perhaps take time for him to adapt to that physicality and intensity of the Premier League. I'm just going to hurl the ball out here, so bear with me. Oh, there we go, that was successfully negotiated. It would have made far better video if it wasn't, but anyway. And who do they play next weekend? Well, they play Aston Villa with the same midfield three who they're going to be up against. So I'm still not convinced Tonali's done enough to warrant being in the team from the off, but certainly Eddie's comments were interesting today when he said afterwards that Tonali was better out of possession than he had been previously, and that was almost the point I was making in America, that running and that awareness against Premier League teams out there wasn't there in Tonali's game, and he was sort of overran at times. But yeah, we've certainly seen the technical ability, haven't we? There was one ball there in the second half of the day when he switched it with with his right foot first time from right to left, out to the left to Elliot Anderson, and that just shows his class. And it is there, but it is going to take time. We've arrived at the Trent, so I'm going to wrap up very shortly. Yeah, tremendous pub. But yeah, other things. Now afterwards, we spoke to Eddie, and he revealed that Fabian Shaw won't play tomorrow against Villarreal. He's still struggling with a hamstring injury, which brings us on to Eddie's want and the team's need probably for another centre-half this summer. Now, the word coming back is that once Tino Livramento is done, it is going to be difficult in terms of budget and what they can bring in, what they want. Now, the sale of St Max has, quote, unlocked the budget. Eddie said they were stuck, didn't he, after the Tonali deal. St Max has given them wiggle room, and we'll see Livramento come in for about £30 million. He was in the stands there today. And they do need a centre-half, because for me, even though today they haven't conceded against Fiorentina, I thought Alex Murphy come in and did very well. There was 2 occasions, wasn't there, where relatively simple, straightforward balls in between the centre-back and one of the full-backs have seen opposition players go through on goals. So to that end, I do think they need more recovery pace at the back. I've said that for a little while now, and I think Eddie Howe agrees that they are, a right-sided centre-half in particular would be a necessary addition. We're just going to have to wait and see how that one plays out over the next week or so. On the subject of recruitment, something which I thought was interesting, I watched parts of the first game between Villarreal and Nice. A lot of the Newcastle coaching staff and recruitment team sat behind me, and they of course were watching Kepran Thuram, who was been on the radar for a while now, but after watching him there, I wouldn't be surprised if he just slips off that radar. Yeah, he wasn't great. Body language wasn't good, fairly languid, didn't have the intensity of running, and yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with him. And looking at the staff there behind me, I don't think they were either. So while none of the midfielders isn't a priority right now, it would have been amiss of them not to check on him. And yeah, it didn't seem overly keen to impress. I think that tells you a little bit about the player. So there you go. I'm sorry this didn't come from inside St James's. I hope you've enjoyed the little wander. I won't be there at the game tomorrow. I'm down at Sunderland, covering Sunderland Ipswich in the first game of the Championship season. But we'll be back next week, building up to the big kick-off against Aston Villa. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, guys. It's been a great summer for the videos. The links to my mail pieces are going to be in the description below. Please click on them, keep on following, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.